Hey guys, welcome back to Driven Channel, and I'm here with a very special guest, Alex Inman. Say it right?
That's right.
That's
You said
right.
it perfectly.
Alex Inman from Atlanta, Georgia.
That's right.
And I like to see other young, successful entrepreneurs. Like I used to be one of those,
Yep.
and now I see others like coming up. And one thing about you is you really take your business and yourself, your personal development to another level. Like you invest
Absolutely.
to learn. But then I noticed that you were paying attention, and then I kind of saw you like thinking a lot, and then you were looking at your phone, and I'm like, this guy's not paying attention that much, and then all of a sudden, 30 minutes later, you ask like 50 back-to-back questions, and you get on this roll,
Mm-hmm.
and then I think you were the person that it kind of sponged more information, and I saw you apply it right away. Right away, you got on the
Right away.
live, and you started promoting. You started getting some sales in. So
Right away.
you do wholesaling,
Yes, sir.
and you teach a lot of people how to get their first deal.
Yeah,
Right?
that's
Some
right.
people are out there and they don't know how to get they don't have their first deal. They know they could make a lot of money, but you help those people that want to get into wholesaling, and then you teach them how to get that first deal.
That's right.
How does that work? And first off, thank you for being on the show, and
got it.
and tell people who Alex Inman is.
Yeah, so I'll start with the last question. Man, Alex Syl is just the guy who grew up in a small town in South Georgia on a dirt road. I have 7 siblings, so it's 8 of us. And I was just a guy, man, who just dreamed of having more.
Yeah.
You know, my dad, he's a truck driver. My whole dad's side, they're truck drivers. And nobody in my family, we were middle class. We wasn't poor or anything like that.
Yeah.
We had a great upbringing. I had my mom, my dad, had 6 siblings in the house. So it was very family oriented. But as I got older and as I started going to school and started going to college, I just started questioning a lot of things. I was like, what can I do to start living this way?
Mm-hmm.
And when I started to see success, I was very curious about it. And I just assumed that it was possible for me, I would say delusional almost. Right. But as I got older and as I started working and as I started to get little wins, I started to see that stuff was possible. So this is when I just got serious about it. And it really got serious when I got my first sales job, when I got into sales 12 years ago. And then I started to actually develop and learn skills. And I started to take those skills and I started to use those skills to make money.
What was that first sales job?
My first sales job was selling cable.
Like Time Warner?
Cable packages, DirecTV.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I would sell satellite dishes.
Yeah.
So I would have to stand in a retail store and pitch 100 people a day to switch their cable provider.
Yeah.
And what I learned doing that was I learned a lot of things, but I learned most about life doing that.
Yeah.
Because as I'm talking to all these people, and I'm talking to 100 people a day,
Yeah.
and 99% of them are telling me no, but I will always end the day majority of the time with somebody telling me yes. That taught me a major lesson. And the lesson it taught me was never stop.
Yeah.
Never stop. And there's always a way if you keep pushing. So I learned persistence when I got into sales. Before that, I had persistence, but it wasn't like it was when I started in sales, though. Sales made me an animal when it came to persistence. And persistence is one of the main things a person is going to need if they want to succeed in any business, is because in the beginning of anything, you don't know what you're doing and you don't know what you don't know. So the only way you're going to get through a learning curve and learn anything is if you got to persist through the hard times. And what people don't understand is it's not hard times, it's a learning curve.
Right.
And when things are going wrong, it's not that things are going wrong. It's just that you're doing what doesn't work yet. So you keep doing something and you analyze what you're doing and you make changes until it starts working. So a lot of people look at, building a business and growing a business, and they look at the failures the wrong way.
Yeah.
And they don't understand that, no, that's a learning curve.
So when you were selling a DirecTV system, how much would you make on one? Like, let's say you had 99 no's and then one person bought
$100 a sale.
$100.
$100 a sale.
Is that what you were averaging, like one sale a day, or were you doing
About
more?
one sale today, about 4 to 5 a week.
Yeah.
This was summer 2012.
Yeah. You know, I have a funny story with the DirecTV. I used to buy, because back then, this was 10 years ago, right? 10, 12 years ago?
This is 12 years ago.
12 years ago, yeah. So it was more than 12 years ago, but I used to buy we used to have DirecTV. Mm-hmm. And I was always like very techie, I was always very smart with computers. I just stopped spending so much time with computers because I built a business. So then I hired people to help me with the computers. Right. And I stepped away because if I'm going to be fixing computers, like software and installing all that stuff, it's below my pay grade. But I was so good that I talked about my Sega Dreamcast, how I used to make some fake CDs and sell them. Yeah. But I got so good that I used to reprogram the DirecTV cards. Remember when they had the cards?
The card, yeah, that's the old school.
Yeah. So I would reprogram them, and I would get every single channel, including pay-per-view.
Really?
Because we were broke.
So you were finessing.
We were broke from the hood. So I would get the DirecTV cards, and I would reprogram them. I bought this programmer from online, right? And I would reprogram the cards, and then I started helping other people, and I would sell packages like, hey, I'm gonna reprogram your card, and you're gonna get all the channels, and you're gonna get pay-per-view and everything. You know, I'm not perfect, and I never say that I was perfect all the time. I was not always the most ethical person, but I did find my way through technology and computers, and I could do pretty cool things. Yeah. But it's just funny because I just thought about DirecTV because I used to fix everybody's cards and get them all the channels and just charge them a little premium.
That's right.
But DirecTV. So you were selling DirecTV systems.
Yeah.
And then you were making $100. So you were making like $500 a week, more or less.
Yep.
That's $2,000 a month. Were you still getting like a set hourly pay plus that?
No. So that I was on what's called the draw system back then.
Yeah.
And if anybody doesn't know anything about the draw system is let's say when you start off on your first week and you don't make any sales, the company will pay you $400.
Yeah.
But let's say the next week you sell 2 systems and you bring in $100 for each system. That's $200. Well, what they're going to do is they're going to draw $200 from that to pay off the $400. So they're going to take $200 out of the $400. So now you owe $200 to the company. They'll still give you a check of $400, right? But they're going to subtract $200 of that, and now that check for the week is $200.
Yeah.
So really, you're on commission until you pay back the company all the money.
So when you were selling a system, did you ever get so good at the systems where you were selling like more than 5 a week?
Absolutely.
What was your career peak when you were selling the most?
My career peak.
Where you kind of were like, you know what? I'm overselling DirecTV systems, making $100 on each of them. I'm gonna go out there and sell something more expensive and make more money. Like when?
Yeah, I started making more money when I became a manager over the team. See, I started out as a person, as a sales rep. Yeah. But what I did was I moved my way up, and I became one of the managers who is now making money on everybody's sale.
What store was this?
You said what store?
Yeah,
what locations?
Yeah.
I opened my first office in Macon, Georgia. And the locations were Sam's Clubs and Walmarts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then, so you became the manager of the store.
I became the manager.
And then you were making how much on each person?
About $200.
On each person?
Because as time went on, they increased the commissions. So at the peak, I would say about $215.
What was the biggest difference between selling and managing? Because when you were managing, were you still selling and managing, or were you just managing?
I was still selling.
Oh, so you were still selling.
Yeah, because I wanted to, all the money that I would sell, it would be free money to the business.
But then you became what I call a sales leader now.
That's right.
Because now you're still in sales, but you're the leader of all the squad.
That's right.
How was it? How much harder was it, and what's the difference?
Yeah, the biggest thing I learned managing the sales team is really like an adult daycare. Mm-hmm. Because you're managing people's lives are in your hands. You're managing their emotions. You're managing everything that goes on in a person's life is going to trickle into their work life. And most people don't understand that, you can separate work and home. Well, they kind of go hand in hand. Yeah. And most people don't understand that.
How long were you a manager for?
I was a manager for 7 years.
Oh, wow.
6 years.
Yeah. So you did a lot of firing and hiring?
A lot of firing and hiring.
So what do you do when there's this sales agent that can't close, and like, do you give him 6 months, a year?
Oh, no.
Like what's your
2 weeks?
You give them 2 weeks,
right?
So if they can't sell in 2 weeks, they're out.
They're out.
Yeah. So you got rid of a lot of people then.
A lot of people.
Well,
Some people just ain't got it, man. A person can develop sales skills, but most people, even though they can develop it,
yeah,
they don't put the work in to develop it.
right.
I was already a people person before I got into sales. That's why it wasn't a hard transition for me.
Uh-huh. And when you got into the what made you get into sales and skip college? Or
No, I went.
you went to college?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It took me 7 years to graduate college, man.
So you went to college and you got a degree in what?
Marketing.
Marketing.
Yep.
Did the marketing degree help you with anything you do today?
I don't remember not one thing from college.
Yeah.
Not one.
But you went there 7 years.
7 years because I thought at the time that's what you're supposed to do to make
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
That was the dream I was sold.
Yeah.
I was sold a dream, man.
Who sold you that dream?
I don't know, society. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think my mom and dad pressured me to go to school. They said, yeah, you need to go.
Yeah.
But they didn't really pressure me to the point to where it's like, well, if you don't go, you're going to get kicked out.
So talk about that. College. So you went to college, you spent 7 years,
Right.
and you don't remember anything from college.
Nope.
Why did you stay there for so long?
Because that's what I thought I needed to do to be a success.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know. Like, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Even people who go to school today, they don't know what they don't know, especially somebody who's going there for general studies or these basic degrees. It's like they have no idea that they're not going to use none of this stuff.
Are you married today, kids, or
Single, no wife,
Single?
no kids.
So you're completely single.
Yeah.
So when you were in college, did you go out with a lot of girls there?
Yeah. Especially towards the end.
College was like, I learned parties and all that stuff in college. That's
Yeah.
the main thing I remember from college.
Yeah, I partied, but it didn't get crazy like towards the end.
Yeah.
Until when I joined the fraternity.
Oh, those were fun.
Oh yeah.
I used to crash them here in UCLA and USC.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so when you graduate from college, what happens then? Is that when you get a job?
So when I graduated from college, man, I got this leasing agent job. I was a leasing agent.
So because the selling DirecTV, was that before college?
After.
After college. So
Yeah.
you got your marketing degree, and then you started working for very little.
For very little. As a leasing agent.
It's almost like you went through 7 years
To be broke.
start all over. Yeah.
Right.
And then-
I delayed being broke for 7 years.
You went to college 7 years to learn. I got to get into sales.
Pretty much.
So
I didn't know what I didn't know.
So talk about like what happens when you graduate from college. So you get a leasing job, and then you get in.
So luckily I had a frat brother who knew somebody, and they gave me a job as a leasing agent.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked that job for like 10 months.
Yeah.
It was just me sitting at a desk, just taking rent from renters. Man,
Yeah.
it was just, anybody can
This
do
was before the DirecTV.
it. This is before the DirecTV.
Yeah.
So when the company started cutting back, I found myself now on unemployment.
Yeah.
And this is spring 2012. So here I am. I got all these bills. So now I'm trying to figure out, okay, how can I need to get a job. I need to find a job.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember at that time, I just started going on interview after interview after interview after interview after interview after interview. And it just seemed like nobody was hiring at that time. Maybe they were hiring, they just wasn't hiring me.
Mm-hmm.
And I never forget, man, one of the last interviews I got was for the sales position. And I almost did not go to the interview. I never forget the day. I was laying in the bed, and the interview was like at 1 o'clock, and it's 12:30, and I'm still in the bed. And I was like, something inside of me, that voice saved my life.
Mm-hmm.
Something inside of you, man, said, just go to the interview, bro. Just go to the interview. And I never forget calling up the receptionist. She said, hey, I'm sorry I'm running late. I'll be there about 30 minutes late. And she said, okay, you can still come. Threw a suit on, drove up to Sandy Springs, Georgia, went on the interview, and I actually liked the interview because the guys who interviewed me were very sharp. Very sharp. Still remember the guys till this day.
Mm-hmm.
And I left there. I got a call back that afternoon and says, hey, we're going to bring you back for a second round interview. So I go back the next day. I go on the interview, and I never forget, this guy takes me to a Chipotle.
Mm-hmm.
And I sit down with this guy, and he breaks down the business as far as how it works.
Yeah.
And he says, hey, this is just not a sales job. This is a management training program. We're gonna train you to be a manager. That's the goal, for you to be able to run one of these locations. I was like, okay, cool. So like, what do y'all sell? We left from there and we went to a Fry's. I know you might know what a Fry's is.
Yeah, I do. I used to go there with
Fry's Electronics. Yeah,
with my dad.
Fry's Electronics. We go into a Fry's Electronics, man. This guy sets up this table and throws on a tablecloth and puts the laminates and stuff out, and he starts pitching people.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here, I'm just watching this, and like the seventh, eighth person that he pitched, they came to the table. He did a presentation and they signed up. And after the person walks off, I was like, man, that's pretty good. I said, how much did you make doing that? He says, I just made $100. I said, okay. He says, yeah, I do about 3 to 5 of these a day. And I said, 3 to 5 a day? Now, at the time, I'm on unemployment.
Mm-hmm.
So I can do math. 3 to 5 times a day at $100 a pop, that's $300 to $500 a day.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I just started doing the math. I said, okay, worst case scenario, you just does 3 a day times 5 days a week. Well, that's $1,500 a week. There's people who ain't even making $1,500 a week in 2024.
Yeah.
That was 2012. I told old boy, I said, bro, I don't know what I got to do, man, but I'm ready to go. Because I was just looking at the money. The position that I had before that, I was making like $500 a week.
Yeah.
And I couldn't increase it. I couldn't go to my manager and say, hey, if I sell some rental packages, I can get more. No, you can't do that. So that right there just opened my eyes up to, okay, this is how sales. It's like, this is what I need to do if I want to make some real money.
Yeah.
I got to get into sales. I got to be in a position to where I can increase my income as high as I want it. Now, obviously, there's the downside to where, okay, you may not sell nothing, but I know me. There's no way I'm not going to sell nothing because I know me. I'm going to work. I'm going to do the work. And, man, I never forgot, man, I went back to the office. I filled out a questionnaire. They called me that evening. They hired me. And, man, I never forget, man, I started that week, doing sales. And, man, it was the beginning. It was the beginning of my journey.
So when you started in sales, did you sell right away or did it take some time?
It took a few days to get my first one.
And the second day where you don't have sales yet,
mm-hmm.
before you get that first sale,
mm-hmm.
let's say it's 36 hours or you're 48 hours in and you're like, man, I haven't gotten any sales. Right before you get that sale,
mm-hmm.
were you contemplating like, maybe I made a mistake?
Nope. Not one time. Because I was learning. I was so excited to be in the environment. I was so excited about the other people who in the office that were getting sales.
Yeah.
I came into that already with a positive attitude. Yeah, I get it. I didn't have all the knowledge in the sales experience, but I was excited and eager because I remember what that guy told me. I remember what I seen that guy do. Mm-hmm. So I went into this. I was like, man, this dude's making $300 to $500 a day. I know I can do it. And I went there, man. I got busy, man. I got busy.
So that first sale, can you describe it?
Absolutely, man. I never forget. Each day I was going there, I was doing presentations.
Yeah.
But people wouldn't sign up. So I was just doing presentations. Boom, this is what it takes to get started today. This is the price. And they'll say no. And I go through the closing loop. Anybody know about sales? When a person tells you no, you don't say, oh, okay. No, that's when the game starts, bro. When a person says no.
Yeah.
So they're teaching us all this stuff. I never knew anything about this stuff. They started teaching us the closing loop, the fear of loss, the Jones effect, the sense of urgency, all these tips and tricks that you learn in sales. I just started using them. Yeah, people were saying no, but I just kept doing presentations, I never forget, man, this couple, I was just doing a presentation, and the husband started looking at the wife. He was like, what you want to do? He said, no problem. We could do it. He's like, all right, sign me up. I didn't even know how to do the paperwork, bro. I had my trainer. I said, man, what I do now? So he came over here. We did the paperwork, boom, 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 called it in, gave them their package. They walked off. I did my first sale. It was a wrap after that, bro. It was a wrap.
How much money did he make on that sale? Was it $100?
Like $100.
Yeah.
$100.
Yeah. And there was a system.
Yeah,
Was it
it
DirecTV?
was DirecTV. Yeah, I think it was a choice package. I don't know if you remember DirecTV.
Yeah,
What
the
you
choice.
know about the choice package?
The stars package. the I had
Entertainment choice. Listen,
I like the premiere
I,
package.
I have one of the greatest memories ever. I remember stuff from when I was 4 years old.
Yeah.
I remember that time in my life vividly. So when you talk about packages, entertainment, choice, premiere,
Remember the 900 numbers?
Ultimate.
900 channels.
you said the 900 channel?
900 channels. Yeah.
Yeah, ain't that the Playboy?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
man, bro, come on, man. Look who you talking to, bro. Of course.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah. So moving forward, so then you start making some money, but you're making $100, and if you could make $100, I always say that if you could sell 5 a day for 100, you could sell 5 a day for 5K.
That's right.
So like now, moving along, what are you thinking, and what's next? What made you go to another level?
Because I knew that that was where the big money was.
Yeah, because I forgot to mention in the beginning, but you are like the king of wholesaling real estate.
Yeah.
Like you teach people how to get their first deal. I
Yeah.
kind of mentioned it briefly, but now you make a lot more money, right, with what you do. But what came after the DirecTV systems?
Man, when I left that industry, I was kind of lost on what I was going to do. But before I left, I had a plan. So I started doing Airbnb when I left that industry.
So you just sell whatever you get yourself into, huh?
Man, listen, that industry taught me how to sell. So I knew that it doesn't matter what happens to me, I will always be able to make money.
Yeah.
It's because I understand pitching people, learning a product, learning a service, using tonality, using hand gestures, using rapport, likability to get people to like me. I knew I can sell anything. So I got into Airbnb. And how did I get into Airbnb? It was simple. When I opened my last office, when I was running that business, I discovered Airbnb by moving to Nashville. And I didn't know what an Airbnb was. And a friend told me, hey, you staying in all these hotels. You wasting a lot of money in hotels. Why don't you get an Airbnb? I was like, what's an Airbnb? I don't even know what that is. And then I downloaded the app. I was like, all right, this seems pretty cool. So I booked an Airbnb for me and some of my people. And I was like, man, this is a pretty cool thing. So this lady had this Airbnb, and it was like 5 of us in this one little condo.
Right.
And I never forget that after the few days we were there, I went back and looked at the reservation because, you pay up front first. And I was like, I just paid this lady $1,000 for like 4 days. And I was looking at the condo. I was like, this condo is probably $1,500 a month. This was like 6 years ago. And I never forget, I looked it up, and the rent was $1,300 a month, bro. So I paid this lady $1,000 for 4 days. She made $1,000 on me for 4 days. There's 30 days in a month. So I just did the math. If she's making $1,000 off of 4 days, she's probably making $5-6 grand a month on this one place. See, the thing about me is I pay attention. Most people don't pay attention at all.
Yeah.
I paid attention to how this person had this business set up and how they were making money. And I was like, this seems pretty lucrative. So what I started to do was I started to put money on the side that year. And I was going to I was going to go get my first Airbnb. And that's what I did. I went and got an Airbnb in the same building. After about 6 months of putting money to the side. I put money to the side. I went there. I got a lease. At this time, I didn't know the Airbnb laws and all that stuff, but I didn't care. I wanted to make money. So I started doing this Airbnb thing, and I started making money. And I took the money from that first Airbnb. I went and got another one. And then I went and got another one.
So you would get all these leases, and then you would just Airbnb them?
That's right.
Yeah. How much money were you making with Airbnb?
My first full year, man, I made $300.
$300K just Airbnb?
Straight Airbnb, bro.
Yeah.
I had no idea what I was doing. I had a coach though.
Yeah.
Because I had a coach before I like went full throttle.
Yeah.
I got into a program and got a coach, and he was like, do it this way. I said, okay, cool. I'm gonna do it just like that. And that's what I did. It was wax on, wax off. I just got the next one. I got the next one. And I got the next one. And I got the next one. And I built the thing up to where I built it up to about $40,000 a month.
Do you still do that or not? Not anymore.
Oh no.
No.
Uh-uh.
So then after that, what happens? Is that when you get into wholesaling or no?
Yeah. So as I was doing Airbnb and building it, and I was making money, I was like, man, this is great. And I never forget, man. I had a coffee meeting with an old friend, and I was explaining to him Airbnb how I was working, and his friend came into the meeting. We introduced ourselves to each other, and I said, hey, what do you do? He was like, I do wholesaling. I was like, what's that? And he broke it down. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't think much of it because I already had something going on.
So what is wholesaling for those that are watching this and they're like, what is wholesaling?
Yeah, wholesaling is flipping pieces of paper. You're flipping real estate contracts. That's all it is. So a person could get a property under contract for $100,000. They can turn around and assign that contract for $120,000 to a fix and flipper who actually has the $100,000. And if the fix and flipper likes the property and he knows he's going to make money on it, he'll bring the $120,000 to the closing table. And what the title company or the lawyer will do is they'll take the $100,000, they'll give it to the seller for the property because that's what they want for it. The fix and flipper, he'll get the deed. Now he owns the property, and there's a $20 spread in there, and that spread goes to the wholesaler.
But the property's worth 400, right? You said
The property may be worth $350.
350.
Right.
And why does the investor only come in with 120?
Because that's what I put it out for.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I put it out for. Because remember, the investor, he's going to have to put maybe $100,000 into it.
Yeah.
So let's say this property's worth $300, right?
But the seller is selling this property because the property is
The property needs a ton of work.
Yeah.
The property needs a ton of work.
So they just want 120, but it's worth like 350.
Yeah, because the property may be sitting vacant for a while.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it may have been sitting. It may have just had a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
And a lot of these sellers are older, right? So they was like, listen, if you just give me 100 for it, I ain't got to worry about it. I ain't got to deal with it because they're not going to fix it up. Most property owners aren't going to fix their property up.
Yeah.
They're not going to do it. So if they can just get 100,000 for a property that's free and clear, they know they're not going to get 300 for it. They may know it's worth 300, but they know they're not going to get 300 for it. They may just sell it.
Well, what if they don't know how much it's worth? Is it? Do you have to tell
a
them?
lot of property owners don't know what their property's worth.
Yeah. As a wholesaler, should you tell them like, hey, your property's worth this, or is that not? Is that something that is that like up to the wholesaler?
Well, it just depends.
Because if you tell them like, hey, your property's worth 300, wouldn't the seller just be like, I'd rather just sell it for 300, or is it just?
That's most sellers.
Yeah.
Most sellers want to sell their property that needs a lot of work for retail price.
Yeah.
So a lot of times you don't have to talk about the values of the property because they're going to bring it up anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So your first wholesale deal, how much did you make and how quick? Like how easy was it?
My first wholesale deal, I made $21,000. And
how long did it take to get paid?
It took me 9 months to do my first deal. It took me 9 months to do my first deal. But from the time I called and talked to the seller to the time I got a check, it took 2 weeks.
So 2 weeks you got paid?
2 weeks I got paid.
Why did it take you 9 months to get your first deal?
Learning curve, man.
How would you get those deals?
You said, how did I get them?
Yeah, like how'd you get that first deal? And
cold calling. I was making thousands of calls.
How many calls would you make a day?
2,000.
2,000 calls a day?
Yeah.
And out of those 2,000 calls, how many answers?
I would say between about 100 to 200.
And what is your strategy when you get people on the phone? Do you want to keep them on the phone longer? Do you want to go for the close?
You got to qualify them. So I will have a script, and when they will answer.
So what does your script look like? Like just more or less like basic.
Oh, I remember the script.
Yeah.
Like it's burnt in my brain.
Mm-hmm.
I said it hundreds of thousands of times.
So let's say you call, and Maria answers, and she's a homeowner.
Right.
And her credit's messed up. She can't pay the mortgage payment anymore. She owes very little, but her house is worth, $300,000.
Right.
But she just wants some money, and she's qualified, but she's not really trustworthy. She's had experiences, so she's not trustworthy.
Yeah.
How
so,
would you?
so
How would
she
you,
so she really she doesn't really trust
yeah.
me as far as.
How would you? How would you close her? Meaning, with you being a stranger and you're calling her up.
Well, the thing is the close is not going to happen on the first call. 9 times out of 10 it's not going to happen on the first call because I got to build trust with her.
Yeah.
So my whole goal on the first call is to qualify to see if, one, she even wants to sell, but two, to see, okay, if she wants to sell, is this a property that I can wholesale? Because a lot of property owners want too much. So I just need to figure out what price range she's going to be in to be like, okay, let me make an offer to this person.
Yeah. So then you get the deal and you get it in, you get the paper signed. So now how do you flip it? Now do you have investors in line, or how do you find that investor that's going to take the deal and you're going to get paid your commission on it?
Man, I found that buyer from Facebook.
Yeah.
Some of the best buyers I've ever had, I
On
found from Facebook. Yeah.
Like how?
Investor groups.
Oh.
Because what I would do, when I got my first deal, this is a part of the story I skipped. Before I really started wholesaling for real, I went and hired a coach. Never forget, I found a coach through Facebook groups. I went and found this guy, and I was like, damn, man, I'm looking at him post his checks in the group. Now, I'll never forget, 1 month, the checks equaled up to like $100,000 for the month. I was like, holy smokes, bro. I don't even know if this dude's telling the truth. It may be all lie. It may be photoshopped. I didn't care because I wanted to make money wholesaling. I reached out to the guy. I said, man, what does it take to get in your program? He says, do a consultation call. We do a consultation call. And at the end of the program, at the end of the call, he says, my program is $5,000. So at the time, I didn't have it.
The consultation call, is it with him or with his team?
No, his coaching. I had it with him.
Okay.
I didn't have it at the time. Like, I didn't have it. And this is what most people don't understand. They look at an obstacle such as not having money stop them versus figuring out a way to get the money or figuring out a way to overcome the obstacle, because the prize of getting what you want is more important than you not having the money. So that was me. I was like, I'm going to go find the money. And I never forget, my tax check came in, and I took the money from my tax check and I paid that dude. I gave him my tax money because I knew me taking my tax money and paying bills wasn't going to get me nowhere.
Yeah. So when you close your first deal, then after that, do you just keep closing deals?
Man, listen, I went on a run.
Yeah.
It was wax on, wax off. For the next 18 months, man, I closed 1.1 million in deals. It was wax on, wax off. I was hitting the phones every day. Thousands of calls. I didn't take that $21,000 check. I wasn't going doing nothing crazy. I took that check. I paid everybody I owed. I paid a couple credit card bills. I paid some landlords. The same night, I was back on the dialer. And I just kept doing it day in, day out. And I just watched the months go up. First month's like 40 something. Second month's like 60 something. The third month's like 50 something. And I just kept doing it. I just kept calling. Because I didn't want to go back, bro.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go back. And when I say go back, I didn't want to go back of struggling. Because at the time, it was in the middle of COVID. If you understand Airbnb and travel, well, nobody traveling at that point. So here it is. I got this business. It gets shut down, halt, screeched. I can't grow it. So now I got to depend on this wholesaling thing.
So today, do you still make 1,000, 2,000 calls?
Oh no.
No.
So I can make 15, 20 calls and do deals.
Really?
Yeah.
So you make less calls now and get better results.
Absolutely. It's because I've done it so much.
So can you help anybody here that wants to learn wholesaling? How long would it take you to help them to make
I can help
50 grand a month?
anybody do a deal. The issue with people with wholesaling is paralysis by analysis. They think instead of do. Like, you have to do in wholesaling. Wholesaling is a hustler's game. If you're not a hustler, if you're not a person that can just take action and stop worrying about making mistakes and this and that, you can get rich in wholesaling.
Yeah.
See, the issue is most people, they rather study and think than actually do.
And how much can you really make in wholesaling? Like what's like what's a high income and what's an average income for wholesalers?
A high income would be, kind of what I'm making. I've averaged about 600 every year. And that's me just working from my living room, working from my home office, making calls and working with other wholesalers, and et cetera, et cetera. And a good wholesaler, I believe a good wholesaler should be making a minimum of $100,000 a year. If they can't make $100,000 a year, then they haven't really figured it out.
Mm-hmm. How many people have you helped? Like, how many students do you have? Because I know
I have a good amount of students.
Yeah. Can you talk about your coaching and how you help them and
right.
what does it consist of?
So my coaching consists of, for one, identifying where a person is, their market, but two, doing the basics on what's going to get them a wholesale deal, which is talking to sellers. That's what most people who want to get into wholesaling, they avoid that. They avoid talking to people. It needs to become normal having conversation with sellers. It's because normalizing talking to sellers, you're going to eventually find those people who want to sell, because wholesaling is a problem-solving game. It's about solving problems. Mm-hmm. And what do I mean by solving problems? Why would a person sell their property for 50% off, for 50 cents on the dollar? Well, something's going on with the house. That's why. There's something going on in their life and with the house on reason they would sell it for that. So when we talk about wholesaling,
so it's the right timing.
It's a timing thing. It's a timing.
It's kind of like there's this chick that you have a crush on and you've been waiting forever, and it's hard to get her. She's always in relationships, and all of a sudden she just broke. She had a bad breakup.
Right. It's a timing game.
And you catch her on the bad breakup, and you end up in Javier's, and you're right there by the bar, and all of a sudden, like, timing is everything.
Timing, man. It's timing.
And it's the same thing, because like, why would, just think about like the perfect dream girl, like I'm just saying that because we're both men,
right?
And she's never available. It's a long shot. She's always into billionaires and
right. But you ain't there yet. You haven't built yourself up yet.
But all of a sudden, like, she has a major horrible bad breakup, and you catch her in Javier's right when she just had a bad breakup the night before.
That's right.
Good timing. Kind of like the same thing as making the impossible possible, but you have a seller that maybe they went through a divorce and they don't want to be in that house because it reminds them of the past.
Yep.
And there's other maybe emotional reasons that are going on.
There's a million things.
And then they'll be like, hey, you know what, Alex, I don't care about the price. Discount it. Take it. Just do me a favor and take this property off I don't want this property anymore. And then you're there. But it's I think with you, the way you communicate with people and your experience and all the calls you've made is you just know, like, when there's a qualified person.
Right.
And I think that's what people need to learn from.
Yeah, people, they skip what's going to make them the big money.
Yeah.
A person has to understand is, unless you've had thousands of conversations, thousands of conversations, how are you going to be able to know what to identify in a conversation? So the reason why a lot of these guys out here, they don't make money wholesaling is because, well, you haven't had enough conversations to know what to look for in a conversation. Mm-hmm. So me, because I was forced to make all of these calls, is because at the time I didn't have the money to spend a whole bunch of money on marketing, etc. Right. I had to use a dialer. I had to cold call. It was almost like a blessing in disguise because I had thousands of conversations, and I just got good at identifying what the seller's issue or problem was when I get on a call. So you can't skip the work when it comes to this business. You can't skip the work, and the work is conversations with sellers, talking to people, day in, day out, and getting excited about the process and getting excited about learning more about making offers and talking to people and running comps and etc. versus doing the deal. Most people, they fall out this game because they're so worried about doing the deal versus versus learning what it takes to do a deal.
Yeah. So now you do 15, 16 calls a day. Is that all you?
I mean, some days I don't do any, but I mean, I'm doing deals every month because I got people that I work with. I got a team, etc. But
now
I
people-
still
Yeah.
work the business.
So
is
now
because-
people reach out to you
Yeah, I have people reach out
for
to me.
deals.
Absolutely.
And let's say, what's the biggest difference between before cold calling 2,000 people a day versus now having 15 conversations a day on the phone? Just what's the main difference now that allows you to close people in 15 conversations? What's the biggest difference?
The thought process, as far as okay, I now have a lot more knowledge now versus in the beginning. I have a lot more knowledge on the type of leads I'm dealing with.
And then these calls they're not cold anymore, right?
Yeah, still cold.
They're still cold?
Yeah. But we also have a big pipeline of people that we've talked to in the past.
Okay.
Because most of you don't understand is wholesaling is a follow-up game. You're not gonna close a seller usually on the first call. It may be the 10th call. It may be the 20th call. Because they may tell you no for the entire 2024. Because they may not be ready this year.
Yeah.
They may not be ready until next year.
Yeah.
But when they're ready in 2025, if you didn't keep following up with them, you're not going to get the deal.
Yeah. It's kind of like when you're live, sometimes there's this person that you almost lost hope in because they just keep like popping up your live.
I see
And you're like, these people, they're there all the time. They don't have any money. And then all of a sudden, like 6 months later, they're like, hey, I got the money now.
Yep.
And they're like, here's this amount.
Right.
But it happens all the time. Like
Right.
there's like even Maria was last week. She's like, oh, you finally closed this person.
Damn.
But it's kind of like everything in life. I think one lesson that you brought up right now that's very powerful for the viewers watching this is the power of consistency and follow up.
Right.
You have to keep following up because you never know when that follow-up is finally going to work. Like, how important is it to follow up, and why don't people continue to follow up? Some people give up.
Follow up is where 99% of the deals are going to come from. Like 99% of the deals. It's because it's like I said, it's a timing game.
Yeah.
So most people, they aren't ready when you call them. And the issue a lot of people make is they want them to be ready on their timeline. They want them to be ready when they call them. And it doesn't work that way. They're going to be ready on their timeline, meaning that when an issue happens, when a problem happens, when something happens, that's when the seller's ready to sell, not when you want them to sell. So a lot of people, what they do is because they don't get what they want in those first initial phone calls, they give up. And all that's going to happen is when the seller is ready, the next person that calls them, they're going to come in and take the deal.
Right. Kind of like
it's happened to me 100 times.
Kind of like what we were talking about, like after a bad breakup, best times.
That's right.
Yeah. You gotta catch them when they're ready, and if you're not following up, then
Right.
somebody else is gonna pop up.
That's right.
And then they're gonna take the deal.
That's right.
So on these on the follow-ups, how do you follow up? Like, let's say when you know there's a deal, there's a qualified seller, but they're not ready today.
Right.
Do you follow up every single day, or do you
Every
follow
month.
up every week?
So we have a
every
system.
month?
So we follow up every month.
Every
so
month.
if you make an offer on a property to a seller,
Yeah.
and they say no, what I was taught was to follow up every 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
Is because they showed interest of wanting to sell, but they said no because my price is not good enough. Well, the reason why you follow up again in 30 days is because their life changes, the market changes, all these things changes. So I'm going to call again and see where they are, and I'm going to see where my numbers are, and I'm going to see if they add up. A lot of times it doesn't. So it takes a couple months to keep doing that to be able to finally match where they need to be.
And what if somebody calls them like 25 days from now, and then they snatch the deal? Have you ever thought about that?
Oh, that happens because that other person called them and all they did was offer them more money.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times with the sellers, it's about the money.
But 30 days is like the magic number.
The magic number.
30 days.
Yep, every month.
And you have like a CRM where you have track of all that?
That's right.
Yeah. So, what if somebody wants to like hire you right now? They're like, hey, I want to be under you. I want to learn. I want to pay you right now. Like, what
Yep.
is like what programs do you have? What's
Absolutely.
how do they reach out?
Yeah. So you can hit me on Instagram. I do a yearly mentorship group mentorship call. That's $2,000. If a person can't afford that, they can go monthly, $299. I have a one-on-one program. I have a couple one-on-one students right now to where they're a little higher level and they want the one-on-one coaching and they want a full breakdown and a plan on what to do. A person can come in a year. That's $20,000. They can do six months. That's $12,500, and that's pretty much the breakdown.
Yeah.
Very simple.
Well, awesome, Alex. Before we wrap up here, what is one story, one crazy wholesale story that you've never shared, like a crazy deal that you made happen?
A crazy deal that I've never shared that I made happen. I would say that's a good question because I've done so many deals, man.
Because sometimes you have to get creative, right, to make them work.
Yeah. I think I've told people this, but I haven't like told it publicly. There was this deal that I was working and I was calling this lead and I was speaking to the wife.
Yeah.
And the wife, she was receptive, but it took a couple weeks to really get her on board of selling to me.
Mm-hmm.
And we would have conversations and she was like, yeah, there's a death in the family. So, this is kind of why I haven't been responsive, etc. I said, no problem. Because I initially started talking to her summer 2020. And I didn't get this deal until summer 2021. So over a year, here I am, I'm texting this lady. And summer 21 comes around and she's like, yeah, we're finally ready to sell, et cetera, et cetera. And she said, yeah, I have a death in the family. That's kind of why I haven't been responsive. And I said, no problem. What I did was I went online, I looked up the tax information, and I found the mailing address because this was a rental property.
Mm-hmm.
What I did was I went to Kroger and I got some $20 bouquet of roses. I took it to the house, knocked on the door. Her husband comes to the door. I said, are you so-and-so? He's like, yeah. I was like, hey, I want to give this to the family. My condolences about who passed away. And I just wanted to give this to you guys. I left. I get a text message from the wife. She says, I appreciate you dropping off those flowers. She says, just because of that, I'm going to sell the house to you. I got the contract. I made $20,000 off of $20 bouquet of flowers. See, most people don't understand is what's going to make you a lot of money is the little things like going the extra mile. Anybody could have got that deal. She said, I got 20 other investors I'm talking to. But see, I'm pretty sure she told all the other investors she had a death in the family. Mm-hmm. I'm the only one that says, okay, she had a death in the family. Let me go drop some flowers off. Because I was always thinking about how can I get the deal? 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 That's how I think about every deal. Every deal, every time I'm talking to a seller, I actually express to them. I said, hey, what can we do to get this deal done? I want to be the one that you do business with. It's because I know they can only sell this house one time. They only can sell the house one time. So I express to sellers, hey, what can we do to get this deal done? And I don't express it to them as like being desperate or I'm needy. It's like, what can I do to get this deal? What can we do to get this deal done? Because I know without a shadow of a doubt, I'm going to do everything in my power to get this done.
Those little details help big deals.
The little details, the little small things get big results. Mm-hmm. And that's what most people don't understand about wholesaling. Wholesaling is the little small things you do every day that'll get you big checks that'll change your life. That's what happened to me. And that lady, I'll never forget, I got the contract signed. I assigned it. I made $20,000. And it was like, anybody could have got
so
that
the flowers, you personally delivered them? Or
I personally delivered them. Drove to the house.
That's even more meaningful.
That's right.
Yeah.
I got 50 stories like that. That's how it changed my life. I was a small time by myself guy cold calling from my living room.
Yeah.
How am I making $70,000 a month from my living room? It was the little details. It's the little stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, brother. So if anybody wants to reach out to Alex, I'm going to put his information below. Go follow him. Go reach out to him. I got a few people I'm going to send over.
Yeah.
Because I get a lot of people that are, hey, you mentor wholesaling. I'm like, I don't do wholesaling. I do real estate sales, but I don't do wholesaling.
Right.
So I got a few people in line for you, and I'm sure a lot of people here, they want to learn how to do it from the expert here. So thanks, Alex.
Thank you, Ben.
It was awesome, man.
I appreciate you, brother. My man.